So what are developing economies in the maritime industry? Well, first, what is a developing economy? Well, these countries have low per capita resources, economic imbalance, illiteracy, infant mortality, poor infrastructure, and low personal incomes. As a consequence, it is common that these countries have limited choices. If there is not sufficient education or economic resources, there are going to be limited choices. So we would like to make the developing economies to rise to more developed economies to increase the quality of life and increase their choices. What in the maritime economy? Well, in recent years, developing economies are growing. Their role is growing in the exports of ocean-related goods, which include some products and services as well. They are increasing the economic resilience, but there are still some issues. And there are some job opportunities because of these developing maritime economies. So I would like you to present some figures from, trade also increasing. Some figures from the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. So these are how developed economies, developing and China are growing in the last years. You can see that developed economies are growing their exports. This is in billions of dollars. But also the developing economies are getting a thicker participation in the recent years, and China, of course. So here we have separated exports depending on marine fisheries, seafood processing, sea minerals, which is still very low, ships, port and equipment and parts thereof, and high technology and other manufacturers. So China is taking the lead, followed by countries like Germany, United States, Italy, and Japan. However, developing economies are not far behind. For instance, India is more than 50% of the exports of Japan, which means that it's having a big influence regarding international trade and marine trade. One of the things we should notice in developing economies is that their exports focus only on one of the aspects. For instance, ships, ports, equipment, and parts thereof, meaning that there could be some risk that if this trade diminishes in the future, there could be some shrink of these economies. So one of the recommendations of UN is that they should diversify their exports in a variety of products. So that will make these developing countries more resilient, increase their resilience in case of future economic changes. Among the developing economies, we should take care of the SIDS, the small island nations, the small island developing states. They trade a lot through the sea. So you could see that per capita, they have the highest participation on ocean exports, including goods and services. So these small countries might have big risks in the future, particularly due to climate change issues. So we need, as part of the capacity building, to take a lot of care of the SIDS, of the small island in developing states. So where are the SIDS? We have lots of small islands in the Caribbean, in the Atlantic Ocean, close to Africa, in the Arabian Sea, Indian Sea, so China, and a lot in the Pacific Ocean. And how about the ocean trade in percentage? We see that developed economies are reducing their participation in percentage, reducing from 60% to about 45%, whereas the developing economies are growing their participation from below 40% for more than 50%. So we can see that developing economies are doing good in maritime trade. And here at the bottom, we can see the participation no more than 5% of the small island developing states and also of least developed countries. So we should do something to help them to participate in a higher percentage in the future. And by continent, we can see Asia is rising its participation, Europe is decreasing, the Americas keeps about the same in almost 20% participation. And we can see that Africa and Oceania remain about the same, but a small increase of Oceania participation in the last years. So these are some tendency in the total maritime trade.